Hi, my name is Rajnish. I've been in the industry for last 39 years now. I have worked on some of the largest projects globally, which includes NHS, managing pricing and cash management for Fidelity, taxation in Asia. Uh, Way back in 2014 September, I hung my boots and decided that I'll stay as an angel investor. We are so initially I was investing via angel networks, and then slowly we have created our own cohort and we do a lot of work and invest. uh, we have seen few problems with the startups when they are raising when they want to go for their technology. There are two kinds of founders. First set are people who have tech background and they understand technology. The second set of people, in our opinion, who are more successful are people who have domain knowledge, may not know technology so well, but they understand domain very well. So they can actually create a good startup which can address the problem and solve the problem easily. Now, if you look at it from a founder's point of view, founder has an idea. He's thinking that he will revolutionize the world or the industry. If he's from domain, he has already validated the model and now he's moving to MVP. He'll have to have his MVP ready. He'll require money to invest for development, and his vision is to move from MVP to MVP to product. And his focus at this stage is funds and businesses. The priority is to focus on business and delegate tech to technologists. If the founder is spending more time on technology, chances are that we have seen enough startups where they could not grow. We have invested in 12 startups so far. So, based on our experience, we feel that if founders are looking at technology and giving more time to that, they need to. But if they give more time to technology, they end up not doing so well because end of the day there is a customer and a consumer who has to pay for it. So you need to run your business to make sure that business grows and so does your startup. Let's look at it how they handle uh, the technology. So you could have one of the four ways to do it. You have a co-founder who's also a CTO. You're lucky. Or you have enough money to hire CTO and the full team. Or you're bootstrapping and therefore you want to hire few contractors and start the work. You may be very lucky that you got enough funding at the seed stage or pre-seed stage, so you can actually go to a large firm or anybody else and outsource your whole development work. I'll go through these four one after another, and at the end of it, if you have questions, just let me know and we'll address them. Now, if you have as a founder have a CTO with you, you are very lucky. There are few issues here, and I'll be addressing them in the next slide. A good and experienced CTO typically in London costs us between 120 to 150K per annum and stock options. If you're bootstrap, chances are that you are not able to afford somebody like this. And or you have to convince somebody who's already at that level to quit his or her job and join you. Most of the time, what we have seen, you then try to look for somebody who is not there. And you hire someone who's probably a senior software engineer. He's already at a low salary of 50, 60K per annum. You bring him on board as a CTO. So, A, you are misfitting a person because this person now is not the right person to drive your technology because he has a very limited vision. This person will work with you for some time. If he's a founder, great. But then at some stage, he would start expecting a market level salary. If he doesn't know you for too long, chances are this person will quit pretty fast. Or if this person came from a background of a senior developer, and has been promoted to CTO would work with you for 6 to 9 months, sometimes 12 months, to get that CTO tag, and then will go and look for a job outside. We have faced it twice out of 12 startups where the founders brought in somebody who was a senior developer, brought that person as CTO. Practical case, somebody earning 60K was brought in at 80K. The guy was very happy because nobody gets 33% jump in the current environment. Worked for about 11 months, went to the market and got a job at 110K. 60 to 110K in 1 year is a great number. He came back and said, I have got a job and this is the value. I'll be happy to negotiate with you. And if you can give me the same value, I'll be happy to stay back. The founders couldn't hold him back. The casualty was collateral because he also took two senior people with him. So certainly you have set of people moving away because if this CTO has gone at a higher salary, he would take the next set of two people who are core, typically or back-end people, and will get them a good raise and take them with you. You may talk about it and say, I'm giving a stock option and I'm doing this and that. Chances are the stock options may be available with the next startup. Chances are that he may not be looking at stock option because doesn't know when will he be able to cash out. We have faced this in two startups and we feel very strongly about it, and we expect founders to look at it more carefully when they're doing taking these decisions. Unless until you know the CTO for last 10 years, you worked together, you went to college or school together, chances are that at some stage, because of pressures and other things, this person may not be able to sustain. With the kind of pressure on funding now, it is becoming difficult day by day. Now, even if you decide to hire your own team, so you hire a CTO, you now need to look at and say, what kind of people do I hire? Do I hire a full stack developer? This person will be very expensive. And can a full stack developer develop whole of my product? No, I may need two or three of them. If I hire two, three of the full stack developers who will do back end, who will do front end, how will they work together? So there would be a problem. The second model is which most of the companies follow, is you segregate. You take front end developers and you take back end developers and you use them for development. Very good model. When you come to mobile, then you require more competencies. It could be an iOS and Android separate people or hybrid app developers. Now you got so many permutations available and you have limited money. So how do you go about it? Do you hire two or three full stack developer and expect them to do, or you hire a front end and a back end person and a hybrid person, or you get two developers which are iOS and Android, one front end, one back end. Before you realize, you already have a 5 or 6 people team. 5 or 6 people team, average salary of 50K, even if you take it, that's a low end. You're already $250,000 gone. Do you have that kind of money to do it? And that's where outsourcing comes in play. I'll probably be going through these points further. Right. So, now, when you have the team, you need to also look at the right person who's able to do the right job. Within the team, you have to manage motivation and retention. You are a single founder or two people, and now you're managing 6 or 7 people, juggling too many balls because you need to look at business development, funding, people. And then when you are looking at the team, few other things kick in: salaries and wage increases, taxes, pension contribution, all the zinc bank which comes with that. You may be able to outsource it, but end of the day you are responsible for it. So you need to have somebody within the founding team looking at these things. You could also choose another model, which is working with contractors. It's a very good arrangement. It gives you flexibility of hiring. You could pick people, choose. Uh, the downside of that is there is you don't get commitment from them. Way back in 1996, we had a large projects in uh, Nottingham for electricity deregulation, and you were using about 250 contractors. Every Monday morning, our biggest problem used to be how many of them have joined back. Because under most of the laws in every country, contractor can walk away with a single day notice to you, unless until you have a contract which says I'll pay you even if I don't need you, right? The person can walk away, and when the person walks away, the knowledge goes with that person, right? So all your knowledge, business knowledge, everything has moved away. Most of the countries allow what is called a moral IP rights, which means if I have developed the software for you, I can use this code somewhere else, which will mean that this person can take this code and use it and give it to your competitor. Somebody who comes with the money and say, I want to copy this startup, will hire a few contractors from you and will be able to start immediately, right? So technology is lost as soon as the contractor leaves the startup, right? Now, when you bring in a new contractor, it will take 1 to 3 months for this person to understand the code, nuances, and everything. You end up losing time every time a contractor walks out of the door. This becomes a big challenge unless and until you have a very good control on them and you know them well, which normally doesn't happen. Contractors are there to make money, they're not there to help your startup. If they get money from somewhere outside, a better money, they will go for it. Or a new technology comes up and the person wants to jump to that new technology bandwagon, will go. It is also difficult to get contractors in some of the skills which are traditional skills like Laravel, PHP. You may get a .NET or a Node.js person easily, but these technologies where people are easily available, you may not get enough contractors to work with. And the next model is use an agency or a service company. It's an IT outsourcing model, very mature, and it's a mature industry, and that's why everybody goes for outsourcing. Basically, some of the things every startup will have to look at while you're doing this outsourcing is most of these agencies work on a rigid development project model. In startup, you may iterate, you may change few things, and those change requests will keep coming up, and you may have to make sure that you have a CT or somebody who's able to manage that part so that you don't start bleeding, right? Every time you ask for a change, you are billed for it, and they will bill you for hours. So you need to make sure that whoever agency you're working with, you have that flexibility available where you could say maybe 10% of the work can get over budget without you charging me. And if it doesn't happen, pay you at some other value. One of the things you need to be careful is sign up a contract where your rates are fixed. Otherwise, when you ask for ad hoc rates, you may end up paying far more money than what you should have paid. Any small change, anything will require efforts, and you will be charged, and you have to manage that. So expenses cannot be so budgeted so accurately, and you need to have buffers in that. Broadly, this is what my spiel is. I'm open to questions. Objective was to answer questions if you have and discuss and exchange ideas. Any questions, anything? Do we have audience or not?
Can you hear me? Hello.
How many people are in the audience?
How's it going? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm not sure as to the exact number. I'll ask the mods here in the background. There is an audience. It's just not live, so they all their questions do come through the dashboard for us on the back end. But we'll wait here and see if any questions come in. Otherwise, I definitely have a few questions for you, and but I'll
Please.
wait a few minutes before let the audience ask any questions if they have any. But while we wait to see if any questions come in, where can everyone connect with you? offline, whether that's LinkedIn, Twitter? How can
Uh,
people connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way to connect to me. I don't use too much of Twitter, but LinkedIn is something I use regularly.
So, one question I like to ask you is, as we start to see some early signals of potential, some sort of correction in the market and whatnot, how do founders prepare themselves, especially early stage founders who don't have that cushion, maybe, right? They're bootstrapped or, they're at the very early stages. How do they, what is the I guess what advice do you have for founders as to how to navigate through the challenges that are, potentially here in the near future that could encounter? How can they better prepare themselves, right?
Good question. There are few things they need to be sure of. A, they need to have a good team. They should be able to distribute work among themselves. I have seen with the startups we have invested in, founders do fall in love with their technology and their solutions. That's something they should never do. You are providing a solution for a problem, and in case you're not getting enough traction, just abandon it and move on to something else. That is one. Two, uh, most of the technologists, and I have also gone through that, would love to work on the latest technology, right? Don't
Shiny
fall
object.
for that. Don't fall for that trap, because that's the worst trap you can fall in. Till today, IBM mainframe runs. 20 years ago, people used to say that IBM mainframe will be dead. It still runs. It's easier to look at people who have been in technology for a long time and are working on technologies which are not the latest. You get two advantages. A, number of people are high. B, they have gone through so many projects that they are able to resolve problems pretty fast. So, from technology point of view, don't fall for new technology trap. From product point of view, don't fall in love with your solution.
I love that. That's really interesting. Um, Perspective. So I want to be courteous of your time, and I don't know if you have a little bit more time. And I know we have the next. It looks like the next speaker is about to be ready. Um, but let me ask you this:
Hmm.
as as a parting word, what advice do you have for founders? As you know, as a early, whether did you say you co-founded? Were you a founder at some point in your entrepreneurial journey, or
Yes,
have you?
we did.
Okay,
We had a startup.
so you have a very unique perspective. Not only it sound like you worked corporate, but also as a founder, but also as an investor, right? That's a really unique perspective to have because you were there in the trenches, but now are also trying to champion the next wave of entrepreneurs and startup founders. So what as someone that's been on both ends, if you were in an elevator with your 21-year-old self and you had 30 seconds to tell one thing, what would that be? What's that elevator pitch, about what's to come?
Good question. I think I'll only tell my younger 21-year-old self is, are you solving the right problem? Are you are you getting enough traction? So I'll be honest. Way back in 96, we had a princely sum of $4.5 million to start a startup. Those days it was called company. We actually finished the whole money within first year with hardly any product, anything available. And we had to then go get loan, get debt, and then run the startup. We pivoted, but when you get that money, you just want to experiment with everything you thought in your head is right without actually looking at what customer is looking for. And once we run out of money and we actually had to raise debt, then we realized that we have to work for the customer or the user, not for ourselves.
Yeah, no, that really, resonated with me earlier when you said, no, founders shouldn't fall in love with their product, right? Because you're there to offer a service, a product or a solution, and you just have to find ways to um, story tell, the problem that you're solving and the benefits, why people need it. I think, a lot of the time, early stage founders, at least, from my experience, hosting these startup events across the country, like I have the last 18 months, like not only do they fall in love with their idea, but like they think their idea is the best one in the market, right? And it so may be it, right? But be humble about it, just, don't let that, stroke your ego too hard, and in the nicest, most politically correct way to say it, right? Because I mean, like, you're going to be your biggest cheerleader, but you're also your biggest advocate, critic and advocate for your product. So yeah, I really appreciate you taking some time, being flexible, joining us today. I'm gonna let you go unless you have any last thoughts or words. I really appreciate. I'm looking forward to connecting with you offline, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks for joining us.
You too. Okay, thank you very much. Take care then. Bye bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.